Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Hello, hello. What's all this about a scary dress then?
That was...
Is a scary dress in it? I think it's a dress, bruv. This dress is having a laugh.
We talk about horror movies on this show. It's a horror movie podcast. Every week we get together, we've watched the movie, we talk about it. This episode is going to be about In Fabric, which is part of our 2019 catch-up season. If you look it up, it will say 2018 because of festivals, but it didn't actually release anywhere publicly until 2019. This is a movie about a haunted dress, maybe? Is that the right word? Possessed dress, maybe better, I don't know. But so it's about a woman who buys a dress from a store. Very creepy sort of management and employees. But otherwise looks like a normal kind of store. It's not like some creepy little dingy store. It's like a big, well-lit store that you'd find in a shopping mall. It's not, weird back alley stuff. And weird stuff starts happening, bad luck starts to kind of befall her, and possible dangerous things start happening around her, and that's kind of the gist of the idea. That's the gist of In Fabric. It's directed by Peter Strickland, who I've not seen any films by. I've heard good things about Barbarian Sound Studio.
Oh, he did that.
Yeah, so that's something we'll have to do that at some point. But so that is the director of this. So I guess, I'll just ask the question that I ask. Tim, did you enjoy In Fabric?
I'm still not sure. I feel like I'm a little back and forth on it. There's definitely some stuff that I liked, that I found very, admirable about the movie. It's definitely shot very well. It has kind of like a cool, creepy tone. It's very weird. The music is absolutely fantastic. At the same time, I felt very confused for a lot of it as to what's going on. I do think it, is a little bit too long. So I don't know. It's definitely a mixed bag, but I think there are some faults, but the stuff it does well, it does pretty well. So I don't know. I'm still processing it. I guess I watched it last night and I'm still trying to kind of feel out to see exactly how I feel about it.
It's amazing how similar that review was there, almost word for word to your review of Shrek. It was the exact same, statement. You were confused as to what was going on. It was too long. Very erotic in places, very similar review. It's a weird movie. In Fabric's a weird movie. I will agree, it's a bit too long. It's 2 full hours, and I was actually wondering, like 30-40 minutes in, I'm like, how is this 2 hours long? I feel like we're ramping up to a conclusion, and it's actually because the movie's very much of 2 halves. There's a shift to new characters in the second half. Makes it all not quite an anthology, but there's definitely a separate kind of thing, and that, which is why it made sense. Like I felt it was wrapping up at one point, and then it was like, oh no, like why is there another hour? Oh, because there's another character to go through.
Yeah.
But I think overall I liked it. I think I liked the music. I liked how weird it was. I liked the weird subliminal things, like the shopping ads for the movie. I think it's meant to be set in the early 90s. It kind of has that feel to it. The fuzzy TV ads and all that stuff. I will say there's a couple of like side running characters who kind of stole the show for me. There's a couple of kind of manager type characters who I thought were standouts.
I thought those scenes were all very funny, but I don't know. I feel like it maybe should have been in another movie.
I mean, that's fair.
I agree. Those scenes, and it's like a very kind of like, it's like a dry, like British kind of humor, but I think it's very funny. And like, as someone that's worked a lot of like office jobs and like, I've worked at banks and stuff, and it I did find it like very relatable to you have these, just like annoyingly, corporate, company yes men kind of just telling you to do some, very ridiculous, stupid things. But it is very funny. But at the same time, I don't really know what the point of it in this movie was.
Well, there's a couple of key themes that come to light in those scenes, which I think are why they're at least supposed to be important to the overall movie.
Okay.
I will suggest that I bet you didn't relate to the idea that the two managers were in a gay couple with each other, and B, that they really wanted you to talk about washing machines so they could get off on it. I bet that wasn't something that ever happened to you.
Not yet.
Not yet. Tim, talk about the washing machine drum. Talk about the belt and the spinning. Go slower.
It's like, and then, like, that comes like later on in the movie, and it's like, I can't, like, I've already been subjected to so many weird things, like you can't keep adding new ones.
So yeah, I think overall I liked it. It's definitely not perfect. I do feel like it's one of those things where some time and maybe a second viewing will actually solidify where I feel about it.
Sure.
I will also say it occasionally cuts back to the employees and like the manager at the store they bought the dress from, and that stuff is wildly surreal and just like what's happening. One of the weirdest masturbation scenes I might have ever seen in anything. And I watched Higazusa, which had a goat masturbation scene in it. Tim's favorite.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Well, goats make Tim happy, so Tim would like to see goats be happy too.
Of course, yeah.
Yes. All right.
As long as it's all consensual, as long as the goats agree, that they're into it, and it's fine.
I'm scared to ask this question, Tim. How exactly do you get a confirmed consent? How does a goat give consent? Is what I'm trying to ask. How do you know the goats gave consent?
This is something scientists have been studying for years. There's there hasn't been a clear answer to this yet, but it'll, who knows, maybe 2020 will be the year that we finally break that barrier.
All right. Okay. I'm so glad I brought that up. Right. It's funny because the movie plays like there's scenes in the movie that play relatively quite normal, right? It's about this middle-aged woman. She's in her 50s and she's a divorcee, and she's looking for just to meet someone. She's putting a personal ad in the paper, and she's responding to others reaching out to her, and we get kind of scenes of her going on a couple of blind dates with these suitors, and we also meet her son who's 17 but has an older girlfriend who very loudly have sex in the house with her there. In fact, one of the funniest moments for me in this whole movie might be there's a scene where she talks to, this is Sheila is the main character here, she talks to the son's girlfriend, and the son's girlfriend just casually says something really like crudely sexual about her son in the conversation, and it really caught me off guard and made me laugh. Yeah,
it's very strange and awkward, and I didn't realize it, but my wife pointed this out, that the girlfriend is a character from Game of Thrones, but she looks like wildly different in this movie. I was wow, I couldn't believe it.
Hold on, a character from Game of Thrones, not an actor from Game of Thrones, a character from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Yeah, not the actress. It was an actual character.
The actual character, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was wondering why there was like a sword and a suit of armor in the background. Yeah, quite right.
But it adds to the weirdness of the movie.
It does.
But I will say, honestly, for me, I think that splitting this movie in half, I think, kind of hurts it. I think you would either have to just focus on Sheila, because I think that was the more compelling story, or shorten it up and make it like a full-on anthology, like have 3 or 4 different stories. I think having it split between these two honestly didn't really work for me.
2 1-hour chunks didn't work. I can see that.
Like, because and I don't know, maybe it's just because maybe if I go and I watch the second half on its own or whatever, maybe it'll work a little better. But just like by the time you get to it, once you kind of start realizing like, oh, I guess we're not coming back to these characters, because I liked Sheila and I like the weird family dynamic and like the weird stuff that starts going on with the dress, like that stuff all is much more compelling to me. That when you leave it, it's kind of like it is like a little jarring. And I don't know, like you said, maybe it is one of those things that once you sit with it a little bit, if you give it a rewatch or something, maybe I can appreciate it a little bit more. But just kind of, my initial thoughts on it are, like I checked out a little bit on the second half because of the sudden switch.
I might have felt that way, but the washing machine fetish kind of reeled me back in, because that was such an absurd thing. I mean, I think the themes this movie's playing with is clearly there's an element of consumerism, because so much of it's about like this shop like trying to sell this dress to people, and the way that the saleswoman talks about it, it's like, oh, like this tranquility and there's a feeling of empowerment and blah. She it's all buzzwords. But she, the way they talk about that, and then of course I think obviously sex and fetishism is in there. But I think I might even extend it more to just like desires, and how desires for items and desires for personal things, and how that kind of mixes with the desire for inanimate objects and consumerism, and the idea that like even like we almost become consumed by it, and not even that, like people kind of put their heart and soul into making these things, and then ultimately they outlive us, and the desire outlives us. And I mean, that's kind of some stuff that the ending points to, which we'll talk about obviously in spoilers, but like I was kind of getting a gist of what it was saying. Like not like, I don't want to say that I've got it pegged, I don't want to say that I can kind of give you a dissertation on it right now, because I can't, but like I think I'm kind of like almost getting what it's poking at.
I think that's an interesting take. My thought was that it was trying to say clothes want to kill us.
Interesting. I can see you put a lot of thought into that.
So two different viewpoints.
Two different viewpoints. Oh dear. Yes. Very giallo music. Very kind of otherworldly. Very dreamlike at times.
Yeah. I would have to say the standout for me is by far the music. I loved that. It just felt like such a throwback to giallo stuff. Like if I closed my eyes, I could have sworn I was watching like an Argento movie or something. I would love to get the this soundtrack, because it really 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 was awesome.
I want to point out here that last week's recording session, Tim picked two movies. Those two movies were
Hell yeah,
Head Count and Wounds, and it was a miserable day of viewings. And I just want to say that I picked this week's two movies, and they were The Pool, which we'll open up by now, and In Fabric. Now, while you may not be in love with this movie, I don't think you can deny that my pair was a roaring success in comparison to your pair.
Well,
I've got a better pair than Tim. Let it be known.
Yeah, you act like I made you do those movies. I'm usually just like, hey, I'm watching these movies if you want to do them, and you're like, yeah. And also, I've seen The Pool before you. It's not like you're picking this obscure movie that I'd never heard of. I watched it first.
Lies. All lies.
I watched it in October.
Lies.
You can go back and look at it.
I'm not accepting a whiff of this. You made us watch two terrible movies last week, and I picked gold, or at least interesting material, if not gold. It's gold in comparison. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, if you want to start keeping tally of who picks what movies, we can go down that road. If you want.
Yes, I don't know. I think it'd be cruel to. I think by the end of the year, you'd see that I have won. By a wide margin. I think that's what you'd see. So I don't want to hurt your feelings, so let's not do that. I've been accused multiple times on Twitter this week of talking bullshit on this show, and how Tim is going to show me my role and cut me down. And so, you know what, if I'm being accused of bullshitting, then I'm going to go full bullshit, alright? Full bullshit. That's what you get now, Tim. You made your bed, you made your shit bed, and you're going to be lying in your shit bed, covered in shit, surrounded by shit all day, every day, in every way possible. Shit.
I like that. I like how much it's gotten to you. My work here is done.
Oh. Yeah, you know, I feel like people will actually think it's getting to me, and not just I consider the possibility that I'm going with the joke here for the fun of it, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past anyone to ever understand what a joke is, especially a joke online.
Oh sure, yeah. Yes. Did you see the comments on the Dracula review, the Dracula episode 1 review recently? Jesus.
I've heard about it.
Jesus.
I haven't watched Dracula yet, but I'm automatically giving it my stamp of approval, because if you guys hate it so much, it's got to be good. There's no way it's bad.
It's terrible. It's a couple of fun bits of gore, but it's terrible. Tim, you almost line up score-wise with me like 9 times out of 10 on this podcast. Why do you assume because I think something's bad that it has to be good? You agree with me almost all the time.
I don't know. I'm giving my full support behind this particular candidate. I do think Dracula is going to be the standout. I'll count it as a movie for 2020. It's definitely going to make my end of year list. And yeah, there's no way it's bad. Come on, it's Dracula. You saw the billboard. It's cool. It makes a shadow with his face. Come on.
So what are we talking about? We're talking about fabric. So what was I going to say? What were we talking about? We're talking about performances, direction, all that kind of stuff, all the usual spoiler-free talk. I mean, I like the direction. The direction's pretty solid. I will say there's some like the movie is listed as horror comedy, and it definitely is, because there's like this is honestly funnier than some more straight horror comedies that I've seen. Like there's a fight that breaks out in the store towards the end that had me dying of laughter. I was cackling at that. You know, I was cackling at a masturbation scene. I was cackling at there was like several scenes in this that were just so absurdly funny. It was kind of great. So you know,
yeah, it is one of those movies that's like a little harder to define, because yeah, I guess it is a horror movie, but again, it doesn't feel like there's so much kind of weird stuff going on. That yeah, like I don't even know exactly what you classify it as, but yeah, I mean there definitely is like comedic parts. There's like a lot of like kind of awkward, uncomfortable comedy, and then like there's like the very funny like corporate kind of scenes with those like two like managers that you mentioned before, and yeah, it's I guess maybe you could say like a dark comedy or something.
Yeah. So I think we'll give the old spoiler warning so we can talk about all the crazy stuff that happens in the movie. So before we start the spoiler section, though, I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers for the month. So thank you to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess for being our Patreon producers. That means they are patrons at the $20 or up tiers, and that is amazing. So you don't have to go that high, though. If you want to support us on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, though, of course, you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get a bonus exclusive episode of the show every single month. And you get a back catalogue of all the ones that have already been. There's about 12 or 13 already there. So hopefully you're interested in that. The $5 tier, you get voting rights for our episode once per month, and you get early access to a couple of the sort of the second episodes, as it were. Yeah, because obviously the regular episodes are up on a Monday, twice a month now. There'll be an episode later in the week, and those will be up early on Patreon. So you'll get access to those at the $5 tier a week early. So you can go and have a look and see if you're interested. But all right, so spoilers for In Fabric. What would you want to talk about? I mean, I don't even know. Like, I feel like usually I just sort of try and work through more or less in order, but like with this one, I feel like, I mean, we'll stick to the first story first. We'll stick to the first half, right? So we'll stick to Sheila, and her son who draws, and his older girlfriend who models for him, and they have very loud sex in the house, which is kind of there thematically to show what she's missing. It's kind of this weird, like, sort of dark comedy of like, oh, my son's getting like all this action and I'm lonely kind of thing. And this makes her look for dates, and she goes on a date that is terribly funny, or funnily terrible, if you want to put it that way, where the guy just isn't interested in talking or laughing, because she says, "Oh, it said in your profile you like to laugh," and he's like, "Yeah." Well, what sort of things do you like to laugh at? Funny things.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that, but yeah, that actually was like a pretty funny scene. Yeah, like that first guy was terrible.
Yeah, I've got a coupon. If we share a pudding, we get 10% off. She's trying so hard as well, bless her. She's trying to be nice, even when he's clearly a lost cause. Like, she's trying to keep being nice. She does actually end up hitting it off with the second guy she was on a date with, though, who does become her boyfriend. But there's so many little things that happen over the course. There's the dress is like floating above the beds at night. It actually kind of attacks the son's girlfriend at one point by like falling on her face.
Was that a dream sequence?
I didn't think so.
Okay. It was. I don't know. It was a little hard to tell because it seemed like then she woke up, but then you kind of see the dress slinking away. So I wasn't really sure. I don't know.
I think it just looked like she was waking up. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, so the dress is creeping around from time to time.
Yeah. What kind of sucks is like it's a very unique concept for a horror movie. Like I can't really think of too many other movies about like a haunted dress, and you don't really get too much with it. But I do find like the few scenes where the dress is moving and stuff, like I actually do find like very haunting and like cool.
Well,
and surreal. Like
here's the thing, Tim, because if they'd had it like dangling on a string, it looked really stupid. The reason why it looks so serene and kind of haunting is because it always just kind of looks like a gust of wind takes it somewhere.
Exactly.
Like, it just looks like it flows. It almost as if it doesn't really have a mind of its own, and yet it's moving with purpose.
Oh, totally, yeah. And I'm assuming that's not the kind of movie they want to go for here, but I almost do want to kind of see the version that is maybe a little more straightforward and is focusing more on like the dress killing people, because I do really like all those scenes, but I don't know. It seems like it's kind of only part of the bigger tapestry that we're getting here. Yeah.
Did you like the scene where the washing machine basically starts rocking like it's going to explode? Which is funny. Actually, I've actually encountered, not exactly this obviously, but there's like a safety feature in new washing machines. I don't know what it's called. I like the explanation escapes me, but I had a new washing machine, and basically when it went into a heavy cycle, it started doing this, where it started like rocking as if like it was going to blow up, and it was really scary sounding. And it turns out it was just like a simple feature that they're meant to kind of like turn off or whatever when it's delivered.
Okay.
Something to do with like I don't know, like a weight or something in it. I don't know.
Interesting.
But anyway, obviously this keeps going. She ends up getting cut. The dress is giving her a rash. There's also a running thing with the dress where it seems to fit everyone no matter what. Like it says it's a size 36, but everyone can fit into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a weird little thing.
And just going back to, again, I think one of the reasons why I like this first half a little better is I do think Sheila is a much more interesting character, and I do like that it's not the typical kind of character you usually see in horror movies. Like, she's an older, I don't know if she's a divorcee.
Yeah, I think so.
Necessary. Yeah, because I know they mentioned like the guy's father, but I don't know if they're actually married. But I guess you can assume that like she's like divorced and trying to date again, and she has like a very bratty son and like annoying girlfriend that makes like a really weird family dynamic. It's all really interesting stuff that you don't see a lot of. So I think it's just another reason why I found the first half a lot more compelling, and why I get a little bummed when we get away from it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like she doesn't really like her son's girlfriend. She's constantly using the phone, racking up a bill. She's constantly drinking her booze and things like that. And it's interesting, I think, that the dress kind of tries to snuff her out. It almost tries to gives her a boyfriend. Like it kind of gives her everything she wants, just to like get closer to her son, have someone like the partner, and it's obviously at the end of her section where it also gets her killed. Like all these mannequins from the store start like popping up in the road, and it makes her swerve into a tree and it kills her. which I didn't see coming because I didn't know this was a movie in two halves. I thought this was her, till the end kind of thing.
Oh, totally. And even when that like car crash happens, I kept thinking we were gonna go to the hospital or something, and like still stick with her. I was surprised that was like pretty much the end of her story, except for like you see a glimpse of her at the end. But
yeah. She does get attacked by a dog as well, a rabid dog who's clearly spooked by the dress itself. Can sense its otherworldliness, I guess.
This is another scene that I kind of like. I don't know if you're supposed to, but I did kind of laugh at because it's just like so out of nowhere. Like they're just having such a nice, peaceful walk, and then out of nowhere, this like crazy dog comes and starts like just ripping the dress to shreds.
Yeah, it's a good scene. Like I say, I like the scene with the two manager dudes who are not the managers at the bank she works at. They're more. It's almost like they're employment specialists or something like that who like employ for companies because they seem to like talk to people who are in different professions. It's not just like the bank. It's also as we find out later, washing machine repairman. So. She gets called in twice with these guys. The first time it's just she talks about a dream the second time she talks about a dream she's been having, and that's another theme is all the three main characters all have dreams at some point, or they at least talk about a dream. And in this dream she's her mother, and everyone's scared of her and stuff. The part of this conversation I liked though that made me laugh so much because it is kind of like an exaggeration of the absurd bullshit management stuff you have to face off with. Is when they're like, hey, everything's going fine, this person talked to us about your performance and yada yada yada, but the one thing they sort of brought up was that your handshake's not firm enough, and a handshake's really important, and they give her like a bit of paper, like a sheet of paper that's got like instructions on it. There's like a sort of instruction guide to doing a good handshake, and the line that cracked me up here was one of the guys said, it's written in a friendly, comfortable, easy to understand language, and there's a little cartoon at the bottom to summarize all the key points. and then I shit you not, they said, if you like, we could do some role playing to make you confident. I really like that. That was good.
No, that's really funny, and I like all the like bathroom talk, which like it's because they're like, oh, like we noticed you taking a bathroom break before you're clocking out for lunch, and like, oh, it's just like possibly 2 minutes here, but then if you add those up and blah blah, and it's like it really like struck home from like pretty much every like job I've ever had has like just like such like dumb bullshit talks like that, where it's just like, shut up, like this stuff doesn't matter, like let people go in the bathroom when they want, like it's like obviously it's over the top here, but it is like also not too far off from like
the bathroom
bullshit.
The bathroom part was definitely the one that was the most like real, like it got more ridiculous after that, but that was definitely the most. And I never realized it when they recommended a washing machine repairman that was going to lead into the second main characters. Like I didn't realize that was going to be a link. But I really dug these scenes with them. And I think again it's but the pressures in her life and what she wants in her life, kind of like those themes kind of been brought up. The second story, with two main characters, which is was it something Reed's? I forget his name. Reg Speaks. That was it. Reg Speaks, and his fiancée. Babs, and they've been together for years and years since they were teenagers, but they're in their mid-30s now, and they're getting married. And I actually thought this was like guys from work bullying him, but then it became clear over the course of the scene that it was actually his like soon-to-be father-in-law and his friends giving him a stag night, and or a bachelor party for anyone who isn't familiar with stag night, and they make him wear the dress. They buy it cheap at a used store. Presumably that's where it went after the death of Sheila, and that's how he becomes embroiled in it. And then his girlfriend also tries it on afterwards when he's back at home. But it sets this stuff up, and this is where we get the washing machine fetish stuff. So it's introduced in two sort of particular scenes. There's a scene where he's out repairing a washing machine for this slightly older woman. She's maybe in her 40s, and she's kind of almost flirting with him at one point. Not in a kind of friendly way, it's more of like a weird, I'm lonely in the mood for sex way, so I'm going to sort of try and put you in the mood. Because she's asking about his fiancée, and like, oh, you've never been with anyone else, so haven't you ever been tempted? And it almost felt like she was kind of not propositioning, but throwing the possibility out there.
Sure.
And what was weird is that he keeps trying to talk about the washing machine breaking down and what he's going to do to fix it, to try and just change the conversation because he's uncomfortable. But there's a point in the middle of this scene where she kind of, it goes into like a close-up of his mouth as he's saying it, and it's almost like she's getting turned on as he's talking about the axle and the belt and the blah blah blah. And then it comes into full focus when he goes to see these two manager dudes that we saw in the other plot, and they bring up they had a washing machine guy out and like say, hey, can we do some role play? Can you pretend that you're fixing a washing machine? And he starts talking about washing machines, and they hold hands, and they look like they're like having orgasms. They're like, oh yes, keep going, kind of thing. And he gets uncomfortable, and they actually have to kind of talk him into it again by like going through a whole scenario. He also tells him about a dream that he had where his soon-to-be wife was giving birth, and the baby flipped him off after it was born. It was also noteworthy that the people delivering the baby were clearly the manager and the employees at the store. From where the dress came from, and his relationship with his wife is really weird. They're both clearly bored of each other, but they're getting married anyway. Like, he's not paying attention to her. He's just kind of like nodding along, saying, "Yeah, you look great. Yeah, I love you. Yeah." Like, just really non-committal. She's kind of the same, bit more naggy, I guess, but they're both just so out of it. And she kind of has a few things as well, where she goes to the store and she's refused service, but then they let her have service, and she gets mad, and she argues about what retail's supposed to be. She's worked retail and they're supposed to treat the customers this way, and so on and so on. So there's all this stuff, but ultimately I think the most exciting things to talk about at this point is the manager and the employees of the store. Because every so often we cut back to them kind of like arranging the mannequins or just generally looking creepy. Once or twice it looks like they're maybe doing some sort of ritual, maybe it's suggesting they're like witches or something like that.
Yeah, like that was my big, I guess, question is like, is all this going on because of them? Like, are they, I don't know, part of like, some weird like coven or doing some type of magic or something? I don't know.
But that leads to the weird scene. Not to be confused with all the other weird scenes in the movie, but at least
you'd be a little more specific.
Yeah, at least to the scene where
you talking about the fight?
No. That's the fun scene. The weird scene is when they're dismantling a mannequin, and for some reason, one of the employees, the lead employee, sits on its face, face sits on it, as if it was sexual, even though obviously, presumably, nothing's happening. The manager, the old man manager, who's watching, gets excited and pulls out his dick and starts masturbating. Which admittedly, you don't see the dick. The camera comes up just as he's about to pull it out. You see his face during all this. So you get to see his his whole face and all the rest of it. But as he's watching, the vagina of this mannequin starts to bleed and also has hair. Like, it has has some pubic hair, and it starts to bleed, and it's still clearly plastic, but there's blood coming out. It's such a surreal goddamn scene. And when the employee notices that he's masturbating, she puts her hands in the blood and then licks the blood seductively off her fingers. And then the weirdest part, even after all this, is the ejaculation. Is when he finishes, we see a slow motion of essentially the sperm flying through the air. However, it's not actually liquid. It's actually presented as fabric. It's like white ribbon, like flying through the air to represent the ejaculation. It was both extremely stupid and silly, but extremely hypnotic and like mesmerizing at the same time. I don't even have words to describe this like 3-minute sequence.
Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised that you thought that was weird, but I don't know. I
sorry,
feel
okay.
like I've seen this before.
Oh, really? Okay, Tim. Just for medical reasons, your ejaculate is it fabric? Because if it is, you should probably go to a doctor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a little personal. I don't need to get into what my gravy is or is not, I guess.
Gravy? No, gravy comes out the other end, Tim. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. The gravy comes out the back. Yeah, high class podcast here. I know.
Yeah.
Keep it classy. So all the weird things. Oh, but
I think though, like you said though, yeah, like it is, like a lot of stuff in this movie, it easily could have come off maybe cheesier than it is, but it is directed very well. That even the stuff that's really weird or crazy, there is kind of like a haunting, hypnotic, feel to it that actually does, while maybe it might frustrate people because it's so weird or trying to make sense of it, but like I feel like the one thing you can't deny though is that it does like look and sound great when it's happening.
Yeah. So and there's a lot of stuff in the second half with Reg kind of like being hypnotized, because one of the key details that comes up when the girlfriend comes out wearing the dress and says, "How do I look?" He says, "Oh, it looks good. Maybe try it with tights." And she says, "Well, why?" And he's like, "Well, because it may be cold outside." Because it's because this is the weird thing. Actually, it's weird that we're doing this right now because it's actually set right after Christmas. It's like set at the end of December, start of January, and she says, "Oh, I hate tights. They itch my legs," and like that feels like such a throwaway little thing at first, right? But it becomes very clear that he has a fetish for tights that he's not being satisfied by because his girlfriend doesn't wear tights, because he ends up getting tranced by mannequins at one point that are wearing like stockings, and then later on when there's like an ad playing for the department store, he just sits there in a trance. It's just I don't know, like it really plays in this idea of like he has this unfulfilled desire, and the dress has kind of like made him kind of obsess about it and kind of like lock into it to his demise. And then likewise at the store, basically the girlfriend's desire seems to be like thinner, because her nightmare or her dream is about being thinner and thinner, and like she's looking at like a clothes catalog, and it's her in the catalog, and every time she turns the page she keeps getting thinner and thinner until the point she's basically a skeleton. And she's at the clothes store at the end of the movie, and she gets trapped in the changing room. She's trying on some stuff in the changing room, and basically a fight breaks out in the store at the counter between two women who think they both deserve to be served first. Like that's basically it. And I thought this fight was hilarious, because it starts off with just someone like taking like the item, like it was like a bra, and just threw it in the ground, saying, "No, I'm going first." So the second woman spits in the face of woman number one, and then woman number two retaliates. Woman number one retaliates by slapping woman number two. So then woman number two punches her square in the nose, and that's the point where it almost became kind of funny, because it was just so surreal and over the top how quickly this escalated to like absurd violence, to the point where there's actually like a riot in the store and people are grabbing items for free. The store's on fire. Babs, the fiance, is trapped in the changing room because the lock broke, and she presumably burns to death. In the final moments of the movie, much like we saw earlier, the employee goes into this weird elevator thing. It was like an elevator for items, not for people. She kind of has to like squeeze into it.
It kind of looks like a dumbwaiter. Almost.
Yeah, it's like a wide dumbwaiter, yeah. And she goes in, and as she's going down with the mannequin, we see like through like the vents as she's going down, we see Sheila and then Reg and then Babs all helping sew the dress, as if it's continually being sewn in this kind of like interdimensional place. And that's why the dress, no matter what happens to it or around it, doesn't get damaged, because after the dog attack, it wasn't ripped, it wasn't bitten. After the ending here where everything burns down, it's still perfectly fine. And it's almost implying that the souls of the people that it takes are then like committed for eternity to keep making it and keep repairing it in this other dimension. And I noted one little detail that I quite liked, is that in the catalogue it said that the colour of it was archery red. And at the end of the movie, when you see them sewing it, you can see the other end of the thread is actually hooked into their arm. So it's almost that their actual blood is becoming the fabric of the dress. So that was a nice little touch.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then the final shot of the movie is just the place is burned down, but the red dress is perfectly fine and preserved.
And I forget, at some point, do they I don't know, kind of hint at some backstory or something when they're looking at the catalog and they see like the model in the dress and they mention something about how that model died or whatever.
Yeah, they mentioned the model died, and this was what she was wearing. Well, this is, it's just at least, yeah. I don't know if it's just that's one of the victims.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure if she like was what started it, like then. Or if it was no, there's something about the dress already before then, and she was like the first or whatever.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. Like these people who work here, like, did they create the dress, or are they just in like, or did the dress already exist and they service it? Like they worship whatever the dress is or where it comes from, kind of thing.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But like in this movie, like. Even though no one does anything wrong by buying a dress, because she just wants a new dress for a date, that's all it is. But it feeds on her other desires, and by the end of the movie, like, all the shoppers are rioting, and the place burns down because this constant thirst for things is maybe, I don't know, unsustainable, I guess. Yeah. But it plays upon a lot of their wants and needs that they have otherwise, and it kind of like feeds into that, and it makes them think that the dress can fix it almost, essentially. Like the dress can fix her dating life, Sheila, or the dress can fix how she feels about her figure and her weight, for Babs. And then Reggie's a little bit different, but I guess for him it makes him think that someone in stockings, this temptation to stray from his girlfriend, is what he wants. Like, it kind of preys upon what they want anyway, or maybe things that they even realized they wanted until it kind of opened their eyes to it. It makes them obsessed by it. So
sure.
That's the movie. I guess it's also kind of about vanity as well, I suppose, in a sense. Even though they're not necessarily vain themselves in the movie, but I guess you could say there's kind of like a metaphor almost for, like, I have to be in that dress because in that dress I'll feel better, I'll feel confident, and I'll feel this. I don't know. Like, I don't have it figured out. I'm kind of spitballing ideas, just going over what's in the movie. No,
like I can see that kind of stuff in it. I think the thing that's kind of weird though is like it's like I mean, Reg and Babs, like, I have less of a take on, but like Sheila though, like, she really doesn't seem like a bad person. Like, she seems like a pretty good person. So it does seem kind of weird, like, that she's getting kind of like this, ironic, like, ending or whatever to it. It's like, well, she didn't deserve that, but.
I think it's notable that it's right after she kind of achieves what she wanted, because the last scene she has before she drives to her boyfriend's house is she's saying, no, I'm going to meet my friend and staying over. And he's like, wait, I thought he was just a friend. And she's like, no, he's more than that. And she kind of puts her foot down and says, no, I'm having this. I'm having a relationship, and you will have to kind of like back me up in this. And it's when she truly achieves that in her family life, it's like, okay, that's it. You got what you wanted. Now the dress is coming for you, or the mannequins are coming for you, right? Like it almost felt like once it was like it's like a monkey's paw thing. It's like she almost sold her soul to have this wish fulfilled. That's
a good point. Yeah. It's almost like the dress can only exist on someone that has, that isn't like self-actualized or whatever. And once they achieve, whatever desire it is they need, or once they are actually content, that's when it has to move on to another victim.
Yeah. And maybe the reason why everything goes chaos in the store at the end is because Babs kind of like fights the clerk. She kind of like stands up and says, no, you have to do this and this, and whatever, and tries to give it back or whatever. I don't know. But like, there's a lot in this movie to kind of dissect and maybe come to some actual sort of conclusion. Because I don't think it's a movie that doesn't have, like, some movies you think are a bit pretentious and it's like they don't really have like what they're trying to like peddle. But I think this movie does have it there. I think it's just going to take a bit more, maybe some analysis from people who are a bit more well versed in a couple of specific topics than us. But that's just an interesting one. I definitely think 2019's been kind of a rough year for horror movies overall. I don't think obviously we're filling out a little bit now, but like, I'm a little worried about the top 10 not being 10 movies that I genuinely like, and I think I will happily take this over a lot of movies that we had in 2019 for being something and trying something and having something to say and having a good sense of style. That is more than I can say for a lot of 2019 horror movies.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, at least it does stand out. And again, like I don't think necessarily everything about this worked for me, but yeah, like you said, I would gladly take it over just some generic thing that we've seen time and time again. Like at least
the prodigy,
yeah, yeah,
the silence,
yeah,
the curse of La Llorona.
Yeah, like, at least it is trying to be something different, or stand out and have like a unique voice and vision. Like again, those, even when those don't totally always work, I'd gladly take those over something that just feels like the same old shit you've seen again and again. And yeah, talking about 2019, like we're catching up. We still have some stuff to find, so hopefully it would be nice if we maybe get a few more hidden gems. But yeah, top 10 might be hard. I do think there's a pretty solid top 5 that I can think of, but yeah, 10 might be a little tough. At least tougher than the last couple of years that we've been doing this.
We'll see what it's like when we get there, but that is In Fabric, a movie that I would say I liked. A bit over long. I could do with it being like 20 minutes shorter probably, but yeah. Overall, I would say I liked it, and I think it was an interesting watch that kept me kind of, like into it. So, what are you giving In Fabric, Tim?
I mean, if it comes down to it, I would say I probably liked it. Like, I'm not going to say that I didn't like it, but there was its fair share of stuff that I was nitpicking and stuff. So I think I'm going to give it a 6 point. Yeah, I guess 6.5. It's again, the direction, the music, the style, the tone, like all that is really good. So like if you want to watch something that just has general good filmmaking, that'll definitely hit your spot for it. I think there's definitely issues with some story stuff and lengthwise, and again, I don't necessarily like it being split in two. I think maybe again either going full on anthology or just focusing on one set of characters, I think would have been more helpful in my opinion. But no, I still think it is definitely like really interesting and worth checking out at least.
I'm a bit more positive. I think the art house feel of it really appeals to me a bit more than you, but and there's cool little touches at one point, because every so often it'll cut to like the commercial again, and there's one point where like a creepy woman's hand just sort of like slaps on top of it, and that was kind of a little little jolt. I was like, oh, that was creepy. So I am going to go with 7.5. I think it's unique and interesting enough, and has a lot of cool atmospheric touches, and it's genuinely really funny in places. So sure. I'll go to 7.5 for now. It's the sort of thing that might go up if I get around to watching it again at some point in the future. So In Fabric, there you go. You can, of course, let us know what you think of In Fabric in the comments below if you've seen it. You can like and subscribe, and you can ding the bell on YouTube for notifications. You can rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. More people will find us that way. You can, of course, support us financially. We mentioned earlier on, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, so go and have a look at that. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.